Good evening, Rabotai. The parasha this week mentions Shabbat, mitzvah of Shabbat. So we'll speak about the related to Halachot Shabbat. If I may, with your permission, please, if I may. Thank you. So today we have electricity, and there's a little bit of debate. What is the reason electricity is asur on Shabbat? Some would say it's because of molid, and some say it's because of boneh. Some say it's makeh b'patish. What are the reasons? Meaning, electricity is not touched and not used on Shabbat. The question is, many appliances today, they use electricity. For example, elevators, escalators, automatic doors. What is the halacha of Shabbat for using these things on Shabbat? Avadia writes in the Halichot Olam, in Yavia Omer, about these appliances. He writes that a person who is healthy should not use the elevator on Shabbat. Now, a person can say, what's the problem? Let a goy open it for me. Let a goy press the button for me, especially if it's a Shabbat elevator that goes every single floor by itself. So what is the issue to use such an elevator on Shabbat? You should know that every time you go on the elevator, there's a weight. It scales how much a person weighs, and according to this, it decides how much power it needs to use from the motor for it to go and pull up and pull down. Actually, it's harder for the escalator to go down than it is to go up, because it has to go with gravity. Gravity pulls it down faster, and it has to slow down and put brakes to make it that you don't fly down. So therefore, a person has to know that preferably to fulfill all the opinions, better not to use the elevator on Shabbat, to use the stairs. What if you're staying in the 17th floor, and some people always live on the 5th floor of a building? It's always very hard to go up and down, especially if you have a wife, especially if you have kids, you have a kaleska. Sometimes it's not feasible to go up all the way the stairs. Over there, person is allowed to use it. If it's going to be a Shabbat elevator, he has what to rely on to use it. Let's say if a goy is going to press the button for him, you cannot tell a goy to press the button for him. Somebody told me once, Rabbi, I'll use my elbow, I'll throw the shoe at the button in the elevator. This does not work. This is not valid. This is not appropriate. Person has to know, even if the goy asks you, what floor are you going to? It's asur. You cannot use a goy for to do melacha for you on Shabbat. The only way you'll be able to use it, if it's not an automatic elevator, is if the goy is going to the 5th floor by himself. Anyways, he's going there. So you're allowed to go and follow him. You're allowed to go also to the 5th floor and not ask him to press any buttons for you. But of course, the person has to be careful with the automatic doors, not to cause them to open again. The person has to be careful not to go in automatic doors when there's automatic doors in a hotel, in a lobby, in a building, not to cause the camera to see him and to make him open the door. And obviously, if a person's staying in a hotel, there's an electronic lock that you have to use your key card for to get in. When a person is dealing with this on Shabbat, he has to prepare this in advance. He has to think, how am I going to stay in this place on Shabbat? How am I going to avoid this issue? I'm going to be stuck out of my door. I'm going to have to call a goy every time to open my door. So therefore, a person has to think about these things in advance. And preferably, if you live in a building, you should try to live on a lower floor. That way you avoid this issue of using an elevator on Shabbat. But you have to know that it's asur. Preferably, a person should not use the elevator on Shabbat. There's a story of a Jew who was going away. He went to do business, and there was a collector who came and was from his town. He says, "Oh, you're from my town. I wanna know about my family back in where I live." He says, "Listen, I'm a collector. I have to collect money. I don't have time to speak right now. I have to go make money." He says, "Okay, you know how much money you make in a day?" He tells him $1,000. He says, "I'll give you $1,000. Sit with me." He says, "Okay, you know what? Let me go get breakfast. I'll get breakfast." He says, "No, you finished breakfast?" He says, "Yeah." He says, "No, let's talk. Tell me about the people from my town. I wasn't there a while." He said, "Listen, I'm tired. I ate. I have to relax. I sleep a little bit." He said, "Okay, go sleep and come back." He comes back. He says, "No, now you can go and speak to me." He said, "No, I have some friends. I have a meeting with my friends. I have to see my family. Afterwards, we'll talk." Like this. The whole day passed. He didn't speak to him one word about his friends from his old community, from his hometown. So he said to him, "I paid you money and you didn't even tell me anything. You cheated me." And then Magi Meduvna says, this is us on Shabbat as well. What do we tell Hashem on Shabbat? There's a long Shabbat afternoon now, B'ezrat Hashem. So what do we do with the Shabbat afternoon? We tell Hashem, first Osovo, and then we're going to talk to you, and then we're going to go and learn, and then we're going to say Tehillim, and then we're going to go to Shul. But after you eat Osovo, you tell Hashem, listen, first let me go to sleep a little bit. After you eat Osvo, whoever eats Osvo, you have to go to sleep. After you go to sleep, we'll wake up, then I'll go. He wakes up after Osvo, after he's sleeping. He says, no, but listen, I have to see my cousin, I have to see my brother, I have to see my friend. I go to Gulash a little bit with my friends. And then like this, whole Shabbat is over. And Hashem says, 1 day a week, you're free from work. You don't speak to me, you don't see me, you don't do nothing. So therefore, a person has to know, if Hashem gave us 6 days, we can at least give Hashem 1 day. Baruch